I would love for you to share with the people here how you've told me that you really came across the understanding that finance transforms a life and not just in terms of your bank account, but helps uplift lives.
So sure. Hi, everybody. I'm Kelly Gushu. I am a financial coach. I teach women how to invest and manage their money. I'm an industry insider, so I spent 20 years in the investment industry. I'm a trained financial advisor and a portfolio strategist. So my last role was as a portfolio strategist at Fidelity, and I was advising financial advisors on what's inside the portfolio, so the ideal allocation to maximize profits. And my story with investing is I actually was inspired last night for anybody who was at the award ceremony. Someone got very emotional thanking their parent. So my mom is my inspiration, and with the theme today, so when I'm the youngest of four, and when I was 2 years old, my mom needed to leave my dad, and she was frozen out of the bank account, the singular bank account. And like some of the stories that we've heard today, she then needed to decide to start from scratch and rebuild her life. And her experience instilled in me the importance of financial independence. And that is one of my driving forces in working with women and wanting them to understand the importance of investing. So the number one mistake that I see with women entrepreneurs, and how many here are women entrepreneurs? I was in the audience, so I was raising my hand with it, so we have most women. The number one mistake that I see is that they are not investing as they are building their business. So they are waiting. They think their business will be their retirement income. They think, I'm gonna wait until I have, just make a big pool of money with my business. And what I talk about is I want you to be investing alongside your business in small amounts. And I'll talk a little bit more about that, but I just in a way wanted to give some context of my background, why I think it's so important for investing. Hopefully we can talk about some of the reasons why investing is different for women and some of the really amazing trends that are supporting women to step into their financial power over this next phase.
It's all right, we're here. We're here now. One of the things that, I've noticed a lot of men communicate is the intimidation factor about women becoming more and more financially independent. And what I tend to tell men is, wouldn't you want a woman who chooses you because she's in love with you, not because she's stuck with you? So the fact that a woman is choosing to be with somebody, not because of need, not because of fear, but because she wants to be with them and has her own bank account, has her own business, has the freedom to make that decision, is actually a bit more romantic to the man. So I'm just going to toss that out for the men in the audience. Don't be afraid of this. As women get to be more independent, we end up being able to uplift everybody around us, men included. But I also want to toss out an interesting piece of data to you guys. A lot of people don't know that the United Nations, when they were looking at the Sustainable Development Goals, they discovered that in the course of a lifetime, women give 70% of what they receive back into their communities, however you define that. Doesn't matter if they're an Indian tribe in the middle of the Amazon or in the middle of New York. It's the same thing. So when you're doing the work of uplifting women and helping them become financially independent, you are actually lifting up whole communities. And we talked a little bit about that earlier, and I'd love for you to explain how you've seen that kind of happen in your own work.
Sure. So we've heard from Deborah earlier about the money system and how our financial system was created by men for men. And I mean, our Constitution was created by our founding fathers in the U.S., so we are in England, in the U.S. And it really is about women having a seat at the table and being part of the conversation. And so one of the reasons that I'm inspired to work with women is, I'm not sure if people are aware, by 2030, that's 5 years from now, women in the US will control 65% of investable assets. So talk about financial power. And you know that the new political regime is not really talking about that, right? So we're not hearing a lot about that. And sometimes when I talk, it's, are you on the sidelines or are you investing, and are you part of that financial power? And one of the There are several reasons why investing is unique for women, and one of them is that women make 80 cents on the dollar, but their approach with money is different. So what I typically see, and coming from the industry and working with majority of male clients, is it's typically there's an account, and how much more can I make? How much more and how fast? Ladies who feel that way, that's fantastic too. Typically, what I see more with women, and this is what we were talking about, Marianne, is a different approach and a more feminine approach, and that probably echoes more with what Deborah was talking about with kind of more of this femininity with the money system, is when I make more money, how does it improve my family? How does it improve the community? And typically with entrepreneurs, and this may resonate with you, that your business ideally is what the impact that you want to have. And so as you make more money, the idea is how much more impact can I have? So we see the difference between building an account and the idea of maybe, building your business to have more impact. So when I talk with clients, the reason that I want them to make more money, to have more financial power, is so that they amplify their impact in the world. And so these two different approaches, ideally we just want women to be, to have a more active part of the conversation around money.
So essentially, if you want to help uplift the world, empower more women to help lift it up. So when you take a look at that, because as we were talking about earlier, so many of the women here are leaders, are CEOs, are entrepreneurs. Some of them are very successful entrepreneurs and are already moving mountains. But for women that are just beginning this journey, how can they begin that? Because I understand you have 5 steps toward that.
And so I'm going to talk about briefly talk about my experience. And so I told you about my background growing up. I started working at the age of 10. I had a paper route because I watched my mom struggle with 3 different jobs, and we just didn't really have much money. And so I worked hard, and I followed the successful path. I went to a top college, I earned my MBA, I got a high-paying finance job. I thought that I was following the successful blueprint. And it was after grad school that I realized that I was $120,000 in debt. And how is it that I followed this success blueprint and I had so much debt? And yes, I was working in the finance industry, and I was investing on behalf of client portfolios. And the mistake that I made is I wasn't investing for myself. I was so focused on repaying my debt, and that's why I say is we actually, as we're building our business, we want to be investing alongside. So when I was, as the achiever that I am, on a Sunday, when I was doing extra research for these client portfolios, it dawned on me, if I'm doing this for them, I need to start doing this for myself. And that was the turning point. So I started spending Sundays researching investment ideas for my small, growing portfolio. And this relates to one of the steps of it can be small amounts. And one of the investments that I made, the company either was going to go bankrupt or it was going to do well. And it ended up over a 2-year time period, because what I teach is small amounts, step-by-step investing, is over 2 years, a $1,000 investment turned into $50,000. And that was the down payment for my first condo, and then I built an investment portfolio from there. And so what I focus on when I teach women is the step-by-step investing. So I have this checklist, and I'm going to go through the steps, but I have a bit.ly.com wealth list. If you write that down, then you can get a download of my checklist. So easy to remember, bit.ly.com wealth list. So number 1 is a money mindset. Is money your priority? Just like if health is your priority or going to the gym is your priority, then that's in a way what you focus on. So if money is your priority, focus on that. Number 2 is small amounts. And this is another myth that often women believe is I need a larger amount of money. I mean 25, we're in England, $25, $50, 25 pounds, 50 pounds. It really can be small amounts. Number 3 is that consistency. And the idea is that even with unpredictable income, that's where that small amount, so it can be more consistent over time. Number 4 is, well, what am I going to invest in? And so that's my specialty of, you can start off with just really some basic investments. There is a full menu of investment choices, and I have coaching programs where I review the different investment choices, but the idea is to start, and there are some basic investments to start off with. And number 5 is my favorite, is once you learn how to do this, it's repeatable. And once you repeat it, and so we have Judy here. Where's Judy? Our representative from Washington, D.C. I think she's in the back. She bought one property and then she repeated it. She has a whole portfolio of properties and she's retired. And what she has decided, and so we're so lucky to have her as a regional director in DC as another example of step-by-step building wealth. And so I want to share with you all that it's absolutely possible, and that even though we have a different approach in the way that we look at money, I have some resources, personalfinancewarrior.com, to help you. And as you've heard from me, that this is something that is a passion of mine, as my mom's story is an inspiration, and so many of the women here who have made the choice that they are going to take control of their financial power and their financial future.
That's incredible. That is absolutely incredible. So, as you became more and more financially independent, one of the things that we also talked about earlier is there are two different perspectives. There's money for money's sake, and there's money because of the kind of way you want to lead your life, to have the freedom to make decisions for your life, including taking responsibility for our impact. And since there are men and women here, one of the things I wanted to explore with you that we touched base a little bit on earlier is, what is the difference between that leadership? You've now walked into the corporate world, which the banking world, which the investment world ends up being. And how do you find the dynamic changes when there's a woman making decisions? And what can the women here learn from that?
Sure. Well, I'll just take a step back. How many people in the room want financial freedom? You can all raise your hands proudly, right? Because financial freedom means choices. Right? So I just want to take a step back and tell a story. So it was November 2023, 5 a.m., the phone rings. We know that that is not a good phone call. I pick up the phone and my sister, her voice is shaking. Her husband, the night before, was in a crosswalk and was hit by a truck. He was in the trauma center, and they would know in the next few hours if he was going to make it. My heart pounding, I couldn't believe this, and as I thought about it, I want to be near my sister, whatever the outcome is, and be there by her side. For me, I had a financial freedom account, which is what I call investing, that when you have an investment account that's growing alongside. So I knew that I could fly and be with my sister. It didn't matter what the cost of the flight was. It didn't matter if I was working in a corporate role. Did I need to ask my boss for permission to take time off? If I needed to leave my job because he was going to be in serious condition, I knew that I had this financial freedom account, and I could just be there to focus on, my family and their situation. The great news is Jeff made a miraculous recovery, and he's doing great. With my financial freedom account, though, I realized that I wanted to live closer to my sister and her husband. So last year, I moved to LA. That's actually why I'm in LA. And so I just wanted to share with people that financial freedom is usually one of the driving forces. And often we think it's our business that's going to help us create that financial freedom. It may be part of it, but it really is investing in assets that are going to grow and really that will maximize that money. Hopefully your business, you will be able to have an exit with your business or be able to sell your business, but the investments that you grow alongside are really the several examples that I've seen, and even the examples in Global Women's Club of women who've created financial freedom. So I just, in a way, wanted to share some of the examples of how powerful this idea of financial freedom can be. And then if you want to ask your question, related to that, then I could
No, I understand. I think that that's a powerful example because if in a world, and I've heard so many situations like this, say your sister had not had financial freedom and her husband had died, what would she do? How would she be able to pay the bills and keep her family going? So I would actually say that one of the most responsible things for a woman, even if you were a stay-at-home mother or whatever choice you've made, is to have financial freedom. That's the responsible thing you can do for your family. And I think that doing the work that you do, you've met women who walk in so many different worlds, but financial freedom applies to all of them. I'd love for you to share another story of a woman who has encountered a situation where that made the difference in her life.
Sure, and I have worked with women at different levels. So they might be in the early stage. They might have been neglecting this idea of investing alongside their business, or they may have a pool of money that they've just maybe been intimidated by the market, or just thought that I'm going to spend more time to learn about this. Where as a coach, you can hire somebody as a specialist to help you along the way. And what I would say is I'll give an example. Her name is Tanya, and with Tanya is she just in a way was so passionate and busy about her work as an entrepreneur that she just was neglecting just the investment process and had money in different accounts that was just disorganized. And many of us, we're just often too busy and our accounts are disorganized and we just kind of don't have a system to follow. So step number one that I work with clients is we create a system, we understand kind of the different facets of investments. And for her, her goals for financial freedom for her was she was engaged to be married. She wanted to take 2 years off for her child when she had her future child. She was, planning oriented. And she wanted to buy a seasonal home. So these were her goals over the next 5 years. And so we were able to organize her accounts. And for her, small amounts, she was able to add $2,000 every month. And so for her, $24,000, and then investing that over time. So over a 5-year time period, that would be the amount for a down payment. That would be at least a subsidy for her to take time off for her child. So for her, financial freedom, it doesn't have to be I want to retire. It can be some of these key life events that are important for you that you want to be part of. So when I ask the question about financial freedom, it means something different to us all. And for Tanya, she now has a plan, and she now understands how much it's going to take for that down payment for the seasonal home and all of these important life events that she gets to be part of.
Thank you so much. This has been absolutely fascinating. And I just want to add one contrast to all this because, what we've been highlighting is the individual's journey, especially beginning at the very beginning of it and moving on. My own life and the work that I've been able to do in terms of social responsible investing, I've seen entire communities be transformed. And it's because of the values that women are able to bring to the table. So while you're hearing stories here about how people can begin their journey, I also want to highlight that at the end of that journey. One of the things that I'm working on with the Mimsy Institute and with UTF Holdings, we're working on creating a hybrid program that is the African Breadbasket Project. And as I pointed out before, philanthropy was a way to try and help get 160 families out of the war zone in Sudan into safety. But it's unrealistic to say that philanthropy is going to be helping their great-grandchildren. To me, success is one day they're the philanthropists. So that takes an active social responsible investment into their community so that they can actually develop the financial freedom. And so when people start talking about these larger issues of we have so many refugees coming in, we have this many people, this, that, the reality is if you want to have less people immigrating, then you got to invest in those countries. If you want to have less people relying on the system that the government is providing, you have to make it possible for them to build their own financial freedom. So financial freedom changes the world. And when women have control of it and can empower whole communities to also get it, then we end up all being more independent, which helps us take greater responsibility as we're more interdependent with globalization. So thank you so much. This is exciting. This is how we change the world. Thank you.